Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, students of class 9th. Hope all of you are fine. Students, we were studying the process of digestion in the previous lecture, and we have studied that this process of digestion in human takes place in a long tube which is called alimentary canal. We also studied that this alimentary canal has been divided into sections which are called oral cavity, pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. Then we studied the process of digestion that takes place in the first section, that is oral cavity. And we studied the selection of food by oral cavity, grinding of food by oral cavity, and then digestion of food through enzyme by oral cavity. Now today we will study the section of alimentary canal which is pharynx and esophagus. Pharynx and esophagus is involved in the processing of the food which has been processed by oral cavity and is now called bolus. When this bolus is pushed by the tongue into the pharynx, the soft palate, the soft palate is moved by this bolus which is over here. This bolus moves the soft palate upward and to the back of the mouth. This is the front of the mouth and this is the back of the mouth. When this bolus passes from the oral cavity into the pharynx, bolus pushes the soft palate upward and back of the mouth, and this causes the opening of the nasal cavity to be closed, and in this way the food particle does not enter into the nasal passage. When this bolus travels to the pharynx, the upper portion of the trachea, which is called larynx, it moves upward, and this short portion which is called epiglottis, it travels to the horizontal position. In this way, when this bolus travels to this part, it blocks the air passage towards the lungs, and in this way the food particle does not enter into the lungs and it just travels to the esophagus. Now esophagus is the portion which is the connection between pharynx, this portion, and the stomach. We can see over here in page 165 that this portion is called esophagus. This esophagus is a connection between pharynx and the stomach. Now there is no digestion in pharynx and esophagus. They just serves as the passage of the bolus to the stomach. Now the next portion where the food enter is the stomach. Stomach is the, now one thing which I have left is the movement of the bolus through the esophagus takes place by peristalsis. Peristalsis is the rhythmic movement of the smooth muscles of the alimentary canal, and these rhythmic movements is in the waves of contraction, and you can see over here contraction and then relaxation, then again contraction to squeeze the bolus next in the passageway, and then relaxation. So this in this rhythmic movement the bolus travels towards the stomach. Now what is stomach? Stomach is the third section of the alimentary canal. We studied that little bit digestion takes place in the oral cavity, that is through the salivary amylase. Then there is no digestion in the pharynx and esophagus. Then comes the stomach. Stomach we see is the dilated portion. It is dilated the first portion was like tube, but now the stomach is dilated. It is larger portion of the alimentary canal. The upper portion of the stomach is divided into two portions. The upper portion is called cardiac portion, and this cardiac portion is guarded by a sphincter muscles, which are called cardiac sphincters. This cardiac sphincter provides the regulatory movement of the bolus from esophagus to the cardiac portion. Once this sphincter muscle prevents the backflow of the bolus into the esophagus in the normal condition. After the entry of the bolus into the cardiac portion, the lower portion of the stomach is called as pyloric portion. This portion is also guarded by a pyloric sphincter, which guards the pyloric portion and the movement of foods further into the duodenum. So these two sphincter muscles control the movement of food, and it plays important role in the digestion. This was the structural part of the stomach, which is located in the left side of the body part, and it is beneath the diaphragm. This portion is J-shaped. So the stomach is J-shaped. It is the dilated portion, and it is located in the left side of the abdomen, below the diaphragm. So in order to clear that what is diaphragm is just a partition between this thoracic cavity and the abdominal cavity. Now comes the digestive part of the stomach. The first paragraph was the structural part, that is the structure of the stomach. Now, when food enter into the stomach, the gastric glands, which are present in the walls of the stomach, they secrete gastric juice. Now, gastric juice is composed of three components. Number one, mucus, hydrochloric acid, and a protein digestive enzyme, pepsinogen. This pepsinogen is the inactive form. It cannot digest protein in the pepsinogen form. This pepsinogen is activated by hydrochloric acid. So, hydrochloric acid, which is secreted by the walls of the gastric glands, walls of the stomach, and by the gastric glands, hydrochloric acid serves two functions. The first function of the hydrochloric acid is to kill the microorganisms which are present in the food in the stomach. As second, it converts the pepsinogen into the pepsin so that it can digest the protein into the polypeptides and shorter peptide chains. One of the secretion of the gastric glands is mucus. The mucus, when secreted by these walls, it forms a protective lining along the walls of the stomach, which prevents the digestion of the stomach walls, because the stomach walls are also protein in nature, and the food we have eaten in the form of fish, meat was also protein. So the stomach wall cannot differentiate between protein, that which one to digest and which one to not digest. So the secretion of the gastric glands, that is the mucus secretion, will protect the stomach lining, and it will be protected from the digestion of the stomach digestive enzyme, that is pepsin. So the answer to the question is why the stomach wall is not being digested by the stomach digestive enzyme is due to this mucus secretion. Now the stomach not only secretes enzyme, but it also contracts and relax, and this process of contraction and relaxation of this stomach walls is called churning. Due to this churning effect, the food is not only broken down into further smaller pieces, but also the enzymes of the stomach, which are the digestive enzyme pepsinogen, it also mixes properly due to the contraction and relaxation movement of the stomach walls. And it also, this churning movement produces heat, which due to which the lipid content of the food is also melted down. So the stomach not only secretes the gastric juices which digest the protein, but it also produces churning movement which breaks down the food particles into smaller portions, and it also produces heat which melts the lipid content of the food. Now the bread portion of the food was digested in the mouth by salivary gland, that is the carbohydrate is digested by the salivary amylase, and the protein portion is digested in the stomach. And the further soupy like mixture is formed by the churning action of the stomach, and this mixture is known as chyme. After this, the chyme, the pyloric sphincter allows this chyme into the first part of the small intestine. The further digestion takes place inside this small intestine. So the small intestine has been divided into three portions. Let us see a broader look of it. After digestion, the food enters into the small intestine. This is the small intestine. The small intestine has been divided into three portions. The first portion is known as duodenum, which is about 10 inches in length, and most of the digestion of the small intestine takes place in this C-shaped portion, which is called duodenum. This portion is C-shaped. The enzymes which are released in the duodenum are bile from the liver, which digests the lipids by emulsification, pancreatic juice released by the pancreas, which contains three enzymes, trypsin to digest protein, pancreatic amylase to digest carbohydrate, and lipase to digest lipids, and intestinal juices from the walls of the intestine itself to further digest the other portions of the food which are left by these enzymes. Now we see that how in this C portion, that is the duodenum, the liver, this is the liver, this add its enzyme through this duct into the duodenum. This is duodenum after the stomach. So over here the liver adds its enzymes. This is the pancreas. The pancreas also added its enzymes, and the walls of the intestine also added its enzymes. So over here in the duodenum, three types of enzymes are added which digest all kinds of the components of the food. Now the food enters into the second portion of the small intestine, which is called jejunum. Jejunum is 2.4 meter in length, and it further digested proteins, carbohydrates. Digestion takes place in the small intestine, and the leftover of the protein, carbohydrate, and lipids occur over here in the jejunum. Then comes the portion, the last portion of the small intestine is ileum. The ileum is not concerned with the digestion. Inside the ileum, the absorption of digested food takes place, and this takes place by the circular folds in the inner walls of the ileums, on which these are the circular folds on the inner walls of the ileums, which are surrounded by the finger-like projections which are called villi. Each single villus is surrounded by capillaries network of capillaries, and the central portion is the lymphatic system called lacteal. These capillaries are thin walled, and the digested food in the form of carbohydrate in the form of glucose, the protein in the form of amino acids, and the third portion, that is lipid, in the form of glycerol and fatty acid, are absorbed by these lacteal and by the network of the capillaries. The capillaries absorb through diffusion process the amino acids and glucose portion, and the water soluble vitamins are also absorbed by these capillaries, while the fatty acids and glycerol are absorbed by this central portion, which is called the lacteal. After the absorption of food particles into the capillaries, the capillaries send this absorbed food through the hepatic portal vein to the liver, where hepatic portal vein to the liver, so that it can be filtered and sent to the heart through the hepatic vein. And the fatty acid and glycerol, which are absorbed by the lacteal system, is sent directly to the bloodstream. So all the absorbed food is absorbed over here in the finger like projections, villi. Absorbed food plus the vitamins. Water soluble vitamins are absorbed by these capillaries, and the fat soluble vitamins are absorbed by the lacteal along with the fatty acids and glycerol. Now large intestine. Inside the large intestine, the leftover food, which is only waste material, enters into the large intestine, which is called the feces. The large intestine is divided into three portions, which is called as cecum, the colon, and the rectum. This first portion, which forms a T-junction, like this T-junction, is called cecum. Then comes the extended portion, colon, and the rectum. The waste material which is pushed to this large intestine contains water, which is absorbed over here in the colon, plus the bile, the leftover bile secretions are also present in these feces, which are collected in the anus, and in this anus, after some time, it is discharged by the adult by some voluntary action, and in the young age it is involuntary action, that is, it is not controlled by the body itself in the young kids, and when they grow up they develop the habits to control it. Students, for now this is over, and होप सो कि आपको ये समझ आ गया होगा. आपने इसका स्ट्रक्चर बहुत क्लियरली देखना है और इसको समझना है, अपनी नीट नोटबुक्स पे लिखना है और मेमोराइज करना है. थैंक यू. अल्लाह हाफिज़.